Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brad and this is my budgeting channel. I take some time to go over my budget from working in the hospitality industry. And this week I'm going to take a look at the latest paycheck, which was what I would consider a low income paycheck. I didn't get any overtime during this period. And so when I set up my budget for the year, I did it in a way where I knew that I would always get a certain amount of money for a paycheck. And if I get more than that because of overtime or whatever, then I have more money for sinking funds and whatnot. So this is a good opportunity to take a look at just the bare bones of what comes through during just a regular paycheck with no overtime. So I hope you enjoy this. This budget is for the first paycheck in the month of July 2025. I started by using my notebook that I purchased at Dollar Tree, and I started with the income, and on the first page of my notebook I split it in half. At the top I've got my brick and mortar bank, which is just a local place that I can go to and use the drive-through and use their ATM and everything. And I want to make sure that there's enough money from my paycheck to cover cash withdrawals that I want to do during this pay period, and also having an adequate rollover fund at the end, which I usually try to keep at about $100. And then in the bottom half, I put the income from my paycheck that goes into the Qube Money app. And that's a preset income that I do every single paycheck for this year. And that's always set to $11.25. But then I'll also add in there transfers from the bank if I ended up getting overtime, or if I have any other sources of income during that period, I would put it into the Qube app at that point too. And then underneath the income area for Qube, I have my first expense, which is tithes and offerings, and so it's a pretty easy calculation to put that in there. Once I've taken a look at my paycheck and at my bank account, I fill in things like the brick and mortar bank. I had a rollover amount at the beginning of the pay period of $100. So then I was able to add the date of my paycheck and also that beginning rollover. And then in the expenses, I was able to put into that area the cash and laundry that I always like to take out, and then transfers that may happen from the brick and mortar bank to other places. And then I put in the totals and the ending rollover. So in this case, I had $7.05 more than what I usually take out for cash and laundry. So it wasn't enough for me to move over to Qube, I didn't think. So I just moved it over to a savings account that I have at the brick and mortar bank. So that way my rollover is at $100, like I like to have it. And then moving down to the bottom area for Qube, there's nothing to add for income, and the tithes and offerings are all there already. So I just made sure that I had totals and a remaining funds amount at the bottom. So I was able to start with income and see what I had remaining, and then I took the tithes and offerings of $120, and the income minus that gives me the remaining amount at the very bottom of the page for $1,005 left to work with. So here you can see the 2-page layout of my little notebook, and the second page it starts with my bills, and I don't have room on this page to put all my bills in, so I do put the total amount of all allocations for my bills that go into Qube, and these are the amounts per paycheck that I've dedicated to pay monthly bills. And then I took that amount, that $657, from the remainder amount at the bottom of the first page to come up with the remaining funds that I have after paying bills. So the next couple pages are all about the bills. And the first thing that I did was I took a look at my calendar. I gathered the due dates, and then I also gathered the payments due from my calendar, which is where I keep track of that stuff when I get a bill in the mail or I get an email stating that a bill is coming due. I'll put that in there. And then the funded column is the same every payday, so that never changes. And then at the bottom you can see that dollar amount, $657, is the same dollar amount that I'd put on the first set of pages that we went over here. And then in this case I saw that my payday for the next period is coming right around the time that two of my bills are also due. So I wanted to make sure that I had enough in there just in case I didn't have the date right and it comes out early before I get paid next. And so I needed just a little bit of money for the care credit and for Midco. Fortunately, I canceled my Netflix subscription a while back, and I didn't really do anything with the money that's sitting in the Netflix digital envelope. So I was able to take some of that money and move it on over to Care Credit and Midco. That way I've got a balance that's going to cover the payment due, just in case that payment comes due before my next paycheck. And then taking a look at the end of the second page of bills, I did go through and for the ones that I'm paying this month, I did not calculate the ending balance. But for the ones that I don't have to pay this month, I was able to calculate those ending balances. The only exception was Discover. I had to take a look because it didn't look like Discover was set up right in Qube, so I wanted to make sure that was done before I carried over the balance, and everything is looking good now. Going back to my main pages that I started with, at the top I have those bills that had that $657, so I'm ready to move on to expenses in my Qube app. And so the expenses that I use for each paycheck are groceries, fast food, and gas. And then if I have extra funds, I'll put more into household, and I'll add some of a buffer for this area. And so I didn't have any extra funds, so I just stuck with the groceries, fast food, and gas, and then came up with the total at the bottom and the remaining money left, which was $88. Now, thinking ahead, I know that my sinking funds needs a minimum of $67 every single paycheck. And so it's getting a little close to what our remaining amount is, so I took that that $67 for sinking funds and I just wrote it down at the very, very bottom of the page. And so we'll take a look at sinking funds next just to make sure that they do add up to $67. All right, these are the sinking funds that I always pay from every paycheck, no matter what. And so these are dated bills, which are the annual bills and responsibilities that I have. And then the next section is variable spending. Those are recurring expenses, they're predictable expenses, and they're not monthly expenses. And then the next category is transportation. I put $10 away for oil and lube every single paycheck. And then if I have extra, which I didn't this time around, I would add to other sinking funds. So some examples are additional transportation expenses, such as car maintenance, that sort of thing, or vacations, holidays, gifts, apparel, all sorts of other sinking funds that I have sitting out there that I don't get to add to every single time. But if I have the extra money, I do decide which categories deserve those. But see, at the end of this, since I had already figured out that I needed $67, then the remainder at the very bottom is going to be 0, because all of this does add up to $67. Now, going back to our main pages, I added the savings category in between expenses and the very bottom where it was blank before. And so under savings, I have 3 savings challenges that I try to do every single paycheck, but I'm not going to have enough money to do all of them this time around. So I know that I had $88 for a remainder after expenses. I needed $67 of that to be sinking funds. So that means in my savings challenges, I have $21 to work with. Every single paycheck, I always put $12 into the 12 by 26 challenge. 26 paychecks times $12. That's why it's called that. And then if the remainder at that point is less than $51, then I will skip the dice challenge and I'll put whatever is left into the 51 envelope challenge. Now, taking a look at my physical envelopes, which I really only have the savings challenges in physical envelopes, I want to track my 12 by 26 challenge, and I just do a running tally on an index card, and I fold that card in half so that it fits into the little envelope. Now, the 51 envelope challenge, usually what I'll do is I'll pull the index card that's that pink color, and the one that I pulled this time had a 3 plus 48, which would be 51. So I would normally take a color and color in the numbers 3 and 48 on my index card, but I wasn't able to put $51 away. I was only able to put $9 away. So I did see that one of my annual bills was paid this period, and I had some extra money from there that I don't really need it to be sitting in that bill. And then I also got a haircut, and I didn't spend as much as I thought I needed to spend on the haircut, so I had an extra amount of money there. So I put both of those balances and moved them over to the 51 envelope challenge, and I wrote them down on this sticky note. And then when I get enough that adds up to $51, it looks like I still need another $26 to get there, then I will get rid of the sticky note, and I can color in those numbers on my index card. And just as another visual for myself, I have found Play Money online. You can find it everywhere online. You can just Google it and find printable Play Money. And I had a few different colors of paper, and so I just used my own printer at home and printed up some Play Money a while back. And so I've put together the amount of money that should go in this 51 envelope thing, and I put that into a physical envelope just as a marker, so I can see, oh, there's $25 that's in this envelope. I still need another 26 before I can color my next little piece on the index card. And here's what it looks like when I've put together the Play Money, the little holder that has the 3 and 48 on it, and my index card, also the sticky note that's tracking my 51 envelopes. I put them all into the little envelope, and then I took that envelope and the 12 by 26 envelope, put them into the bigger savings challenge middle envelope, and then I'm done with those until I get some more money that I can put into the savings challenge. So my final steps also include checking my Qube allocations for auto transfers for my bills and spending and sinking funds. That's how I'd found that there might be a discrepancy in my Discover payment. So I did find that, and I made the change. And then at this point, I will also plan to withdraw cash and quarters for laundry from the bank, the brick and mortar bank. And then after I do that, I'm completely done with the planning stages for this entire paycheck. If you've made it this far through the video, thank you so much for watching. If this is the type of content that you like and appreciate seeing online, please give a like and comment below. If you would like to see further videos of this type, consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification button so you won't miss further videos. This channel's theme is Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths." Thanks for watching, and God bless.